7 men compete to become the husband of museum curator Gia Noel. Who will she choose on this season of The Sims 4 Bachelorette? Hello everybody and welcome back to The Sims 4 Bachelorette. Last episode we kicked off Luca, and I think this reaction tells you all you need to know about Luca. This episode, Gia's a little more focused on talking to some of those guys she hasn't really gotten to know all that well. Like Ko, who seems really sweet, and Brandon, who she thinks is super hot. But she's ready to go for this episode. She started the day out with doing a little bit of yoga as some of the men woke up around the villa, doing their daily chores, punching stuff if you're Eddie, and just hanging out, until they went on their first group date of the episode, and that was to the same bar they went to last time, and for some reason, Matt was naked the entire time. I don't know why he was not wearing clothes. Nobody knows, really. But nonetheless, Gia was kind of into it. She liked what she saw, if you're catching my drift. Even though she liked what she saw, she still talked to some of the other guys that were around, until they all had a little hot tub time. And the hot tub time was going really great, until for some reason Eddie was getting super jealous about her flirting with other guys. The other men didn't really care. Ko, Christian, and Matt ended up hanging out in the hot tub until Eddie came back and kind of killed the vibe, so they went back to the villa. To keep the good vibes going, but all the men decided they wanted to go to sleep, so she kind of just danced by herself, which was kind of a shame because she was super flirty, but everybody was asleep, so I just sent her to bed as well. The next morning, Gia started a fire in the kitchen, but luckily we had firefighter Eddie there to save the day. These 4 men here were the biggest cowards, especially Daniel, who just sat and freaked out about the fire long after it was put out. The official group date for this episode is at this cute little, pool place by the beach in Tartosa. It was really cute. I got it off the gallery. If you want to download it, the comments, you can find it. And everybody just kind of hung out, you know? Some of the guys were flirting a little bit with Gia. Daniel was making a move, which, as you might recall from last episode, he was in the bottom 2 because he just wasn't making an effort. Gia didn't seem super interested though because she kept going on her phone in the water, so yeah. Then she decided to go and lay out and just kind of tan, and I noticed a bag flying, and poor Brandon was getting Agnes crumple bottomed. I felt really bad for him. He also happened to have a cold, so apologies to him. By this point, things were kind of getting a little bit boring, so I said whoever met me in the middle of the ocean was going to be the one. Eddie was there, and she said, nope, I think not, and she immediately swam away. Poor Eddie. I also noticed that this lot was missing a bar, so I put one in here. And then Matt and Eddie got into it. He was like, leave Gia alone, you're around her all the time. And it was so much stress for Gia that she ended up double fisting by the pool, which honestly, I've been there, I get it. Look at this, she's living the dream. She decided to build a cute little sand castle with Ko. It gave them a little bit of time to bond because she has not really spent a lot of time with Ko, and here she's talking about how Eddie is really annoying her because everywhere she looks, there's Eddie. 2 random townies then proceeded to interrupt the vibes, and that's when I knew it was time to go back to the villa. Gia got into the hot tub to try and bait some more guys, and Christian joined her for a little cuddling in the hot tub, getting a little steamy in the hot tub, and she gave him a little bit of a massage. But then it was time to throw a little party. Yes, I wanted them to kind of get down, you know? And Matt and Daniel really took that to heart. Gia spent the entire evening talking with Christian as Eddie hung out by himself doing yoga. What a weirdo. And Ko was honestly not happy about it. Ko was not in a good mood. Eventually, Brandon and guess who, Eddie, came over to interrupt the schmoozing that was being done by Gia and Christian. Gia said, I'm not having any of this, and went for a little swim with Ko. And guess who was there also? That's right, Eddie. Eddie was also there. While Daniel and, this is so funny, Daniel and Matt were just inside dancing, like the whole night. And eventually Daniel did get Gia to dance a little bit, as Matt went crazy in the back. The next morning, Gia got up. She was doing her daily chores, cleaning up after these guys. Eddie got a new trait, clumsy, which makes sense. And Brandon, I don't know what happened, but Gia and Brandon just started flirting. I did not even do anything. I did nothing to encourage that. I took that as a sign from Gia that she wanted to take Brandon out on a date this week. So they went to a cute little Italian restaurant in Tartosa where the 2 of them, they just schmoozed. And they drank a lot of juice in The Sims. A lot. And they learned a lot about each other, you know? They were feeling each other. He was kind of giving off business bro vibes, and that's because Mr. Brandon here, he lives in San Myshuno, and he loves to run. He's a social media influencer. He owns his own clothing brand and shop, and he just loves to party. He's looking for somebody that he can hustle with, you know? He wants somebody who's got the grind set mentality. Now, like I said, they had quite a few drinks, and once the drinks got flowing, they had a gold star date, and they had to wait for their Uber outside. And that's when Brandon started to make a move on our girl Gia, you know, giving her a little schmooze, and then they kissed. I know. I can't believe it happened this early on. They had a full makeout session in the rain. And when they returned to the villa, you know, Gia was feeling real good. She needed to go and take a cold shower to get rid of that. And I tried to talk to her about it, but she was like, no. Eddie showed up unshowered and not in his suit, so that was not looking too good. So as Gia addressed the men today, she decided the first rose would go to Brandon. They had such a good date, like there was no way he wasn't getting first rose. Co received the second flower because she had a great time with him this episode. Christian got the third as Luca walked by in the background, and I was going to give out the next rose when I noticed somebody was missing. Oh, that's because Eddie was walking away? No, I think not. Anyway, Matt got the fourth rose, and that left us with our bottom two. Daniel, who was too eager about it, and Eddie. I know, a fall from grace. This is Daniel's second week in the bottom two. He was first a little bit cowardice when it came to dealing with that fire that started in the house, and he also won't stop trying to make friends with all the guys here. Like, you're not here to make friends, you're here to woo Gia, and at this point, it's getting too much, and she still hasn't really forgiven him for the Brittany Cho thing from last episode. So Daniel, that's why you're in the bottom two. Eddie, first of all, last week, that was really creepy when you were in her room. But this time, this episode, you've been everywhere that she is, and not in a good way. Every time she goes anywhere, there you are. You're always there. Swimming with Co, there you are. You need to learn how to not be around so often. But at the end of the day, Gia didn't think that was a deal breaker, and she gave the final rose to Eddie, hoping that next week he'll be better. But his attitude, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Gia explained to Daniel why she didn't choose him, and he was pretty understanding about it. They had a nice long conversation, and at the end of it, you know, he just wished her the best and hoped that she would find her one true love in this season. Daniel wanted me to tell you all that even though he wasn't selected to be the winner this season, he's really grateful for the experience and all the friends he made along the way, but he's really gotta pee. So we watched Daniel walk away, hopefully to a bathroom. We started out with 6 Sims this episode, and we are now down to just 5. I will see you all next time.